When you feel your street bike tires grip this track, you realize what that bike was made for. Peace, what's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. It is your Unc at the track here at COTA, as we affectionately call it here in Texas, or Circuit of the Americas. So for all of those who haven't started your track day yet, you're wondering what you need to do to get a bike, get the bike ready, get yourself ready, make sure you have the proper gear, everything that it's gonna take that you need to show up at a track day, this channel is for you. It is hot out here in Texas, and it is 1 o'clock, and it's been 95 degrees for probably 2 hours now. Getting some laps in, enjoying some sun. So what we're gonna do today is go over every item that you should bring with you to your first track day. Now, I have a list, and this particular list was given me by RideSmart because they provide that for first-time track riders. I will tell you this, not everything on the list you're gonna need, but it's either gonna be good to have with you when you go, or at least have in your garage at home at some point in time if you are the type of person that works on your own bike. Now, I'm gonna get back to swimming, but when we're done, we're gonna list everything out, check it off the list, show you all the items, and hopefully you'll have a good starting map for what you need to do. I'll give you some little tidbits along the way as well. Let me get back to doing what I do.
One of the first things we're going to go over here is looking at some vehicles. First thing I came upon was a truck. It's pointed a little bit down here on the front, but still has a pretty good perspective for its height in the back. Just looking at this, it seems a little high to get the ramp up, so decided to move on. Gonna go to a bigger truck here at U-Haul. These big 10-footers are pretty cool and got enough space, but it's really hot on the inside, and on a track day, that can get really, really hot. So we're gonna move on, see if we can find something else. Here we find a van. It's got a pretty good height for me to be able to step up and put the bike in, and that's what we wanna look for. Make sure we secure those ramps together. This one's locked. We're gonna go inside, get them to unlock it, which they did. Coming back out, gonna take a look at this van again and see if we can figure out just exactly how it feels to put the bike inside. So again, we notice the height is pretty much up there, just at a foot raise, not too high, which is great. You can see it's right at the knee, just above it. So I like that. And again, making sure that we secure our ramps together if we're using more than one. It gives us a sturdy ramp to bring our bike up on. Just opening up the van here, we can see the doors open up pretty wide. I didn't open the other one all the way because it would hit the van, but that door on the left will open up more. And I'm just imagining pushing that up the ramp, me stepping up, ducking my head, and getting the bike in, which we can do. It fit right over there on the side, which is great. That is exactly what we needed to do. I can stand up a little bit. You notice I got sandals on. I'm 5'10", really can't stand up all the way, but that's all right. I don't need to be in there having a party or dancing. I just need to get my bike in and all the necessary gear that I need to have for the track. And this bike really, really does do well in terms of fitting in the van. And the van does well in terms of being able to fit everything in. We got enough room for all our tools. We might even be able to get an air mattress in there if we put a twin size right there at the back. So if we need to, we get a little break, we can lay down if it's too hot. I wanted to be able to run the AC, but you can see there's that gated area that I really don't like much when it comes to having a cargo van. But when you're renting, you got to go with what you got to go with. I wouldn't be able to run the AC from the van, but that's okay because I'm not going to be in the van too much. Going to be in and out of sessions and in and out of track runs. So the van is going to work for me as long as we can get one that's that height. Looking at the interior is really cool, does what it needs to do. Modern conveniences, of course. AC's there. This one actually had CarPlay, so I was able to hook up my phone relatively quickly and wirelessly, as well as I think wirelessly charge my phone on the way there with that little compartment that's down there in the middle. Actually, I couldn't wirelessly charge. I had to plug in because that's too small for my phone. But This van worked out great. I'm only doing 50 miles a day, so that's all. We're going to move on now to trying on a tracksuit. I would definitely recommend you try one on before you buy one so that you know your exact size. These things are not easy to get in and out of. But what I soon discovered is that when you actually get the right size, you can get in and out of them pretty quickly without much complication, and you really don't need much help. So we're going to go ahead and try this on. I'll show you how long it takes me to get in and out of this suit. Now it's going to take me probably less than a minute. As I said before, I've had some complications, but this particular time I got in pretty swiftly. You're going to see we're going to have a suit that goes underneath that, and as well as our back brace that's going to go underneath that. And I also bought some shorts that have hip, thigh, and buttocks pads for just extra padding, because that actually does not come in a tracksuit. It does come with the back, does come with the arms, the shoulders, as well as the shins and knees, and of course your knee pad for dragging your knee, but does not come with anything for the hips, the thighs, or the buttocks. So right now, I'll put the suit on the bottom. This is the conventional way. Put both legs in. Get one arm in first. Get another arm in. You got to bend a little bit, and you sort of shake it. This is where it used to be hard for me because I had the wrong size, but I'll pop right in that suit, and that actually goes pretty well. I'm able to zip everything up. I can feel that the suit is fitting tight in all the right places, but also has some loose areas, which are important when you are going to wear the back brace. This is what it looks like. Slim, sleek, everything's there. As you can see at the bottom there, I'll be able to zip up, put my boots over it. Basically looks really good, feels really good. Nothing is form-fitting you on the backside, and it's not supposed to, because when you need to bend over, whether it's on the tank or from one side to the other, you have that room to be able to do that. And so this one worked out for me pretty well. Now we're going to go see if we can find some gauntlet gloves. Looking around this particular cycle gear, not a lot of gloves. And these gloves, although they are great and they will match the suit that I'm going to get, a little bit too expensive for my taste. So I think I'm going to look online for something. But hey, let's have a look around and see what else they got in here that's pretty cool. I love helmets. Like a lot of us that ride, we like our helmets. We like the graphics. This one I actually have saved in my wish list for cycle gear, probably with the Revzilla as well. But Arai makes some pretty cool helmets, and so do a lot of other companies. This is Sedici, I think that's how you say that name. I have boots, but I do not have a helmet. I used to have a black one, but I sold it. And my helmet is, of course, a Shoei helmet, but they got some other great helmets with great colors. Going to cyclegear.com or using it, well, they don't have an app, but going to cyclegear.com, you can see all of these helmets and decide which one you want to put in the cart for you. You don't have to get anything super expensive. Just make sure that it's rated DOT and ECE if you can help it. DOT in this country, ECE for everywhere else in the world. All right, so now we're going to start with our list. Of course, I got the bike and the key, so we know that's there. Next thing we're going to look at is going to be the tire kit. Very important to have, easy to use. You definitely want to make sure you have that. I got a new gas can. These gas cans work really great, don't leak. Of course, you want to have oil. Again, one of those things you need in the garage. Brake fluid as well. Have that in the garage. I have a unique rear stand by Dynomoto, which those things can move my bike around in a circle. I can move it in any tight space, backwards, forwards, around, any angle I want to have this. I can move my bike pretty easily in the garage, but also I have some conventional stands so the tires will spin both in front and back. So we got our front and we got our rear stands. Next thing you want to have is some chain lube. This is something you should be doing to your bike regularly. Cleaning your chain, some WD-40 of course, a little degreaser in case you need it, put it in another bottle, and some brake cleaner is what I would actually use to clean off some of the gook you get on your chains and metal parts. We got some Windex, we got some cleaning towels, and all the tools you are going to need. The zip ties, another flashlight, and we got some duct tape, and also some electrical tape and some track ready tape to tape up your lights. tire pressure gauge. Your tires should be at a certain pressure, and they'll let you know that at the track. Next thing, you have some work gloves. Keep your bike clean. I had a little generator so I could put everything plugged up to that AC. Of course, my air pressure so I could pump up my tires if I need to. That's connected to that. So we got everything we need to work with the generator. Now we're going to go to what's inside the suit. We got the suit. We got the headgear. We got the hip pads I told you about to protect your thighs, hips, and back area. So that all covers the Under Armour part. I got some copper socks. Bring your helmets and have a variety. Something about your helmet they may not like. Next, we got the suit. This is the color I settled on. We got our boots. These are the only thing I have that says Sedici on them. And these are the gloves I ended up with at a great price. Here's the back protector. From there, we're going into our sandals, something comfortable when you slide those boots off on a break. Got my t-shirt when I'm done, shorts when I'm done. Of course, you want to make sure you have some socks to go with that as well when you're done with your sandals. Here's a cooler for ice and water. And we're going to go ahead and move on down to the other part of the list that tells you bring a pen and pad for those classroom sessions. Your wallet and ID should always be with you. Cooler and ice, water we already got. Got me a great first aid kit off of Amazon. I don't have a lap timer. Don't need that just yet. I do have my camera. This is my setup. This is what I will have. Camera, mic, wireless transmitter. Bring some food in that cooler. And then I'm setting up this canopy. Now, this is something I also recommend you do before you get to the track. Set up the canopy before you go for two reasons. One, it took me a very long time to set this canopy up by our estimations. And doing it by yourself, having to pull those corners apart is kind of awkward because it's contingent upon you pulling them apart so that you can get it expanded where you want and also pulling it back together. Once we got it up, kind of just put the walls on, not all the way strapping everything down to the poles, but it worked well. And I discovered has a little front door, so that worked well. Now you of course want to bring a chair for you to be able to plop down in during your breaks. And we know we now have everything that we need for the track day. It's on to the track. When you come to MotoGP, if you do the entire weekend as a rider, you have an opportunity to be able to come onto the track and ride around the track one time. But there's over 100 some odd riders in the whole entire group, and you don't really get to open your bike up, nor do you really know perspective in terms of which direction you're traveling because you've never been on the track before if you haven't done it before. But they do keep you traveling in the direction that the riders will go. So this particular road I'm taking here is going to get me to the back paddock area where the parking lot is, right behind the pits and right behind the main building. And this is also somewhere you can walk as a spectator if you have a pass, or if you don't have a pass. Your access will just be limited to how far you can go. So we're going to go off to the right here. You can see there's already some campers set up. There's already people ready to go. It's probably sometime around 5:30, 6 o'clock, maybe even 7 as I'm pulling in. And this is the late part of the day. Everybody's already set up, and just unloaded the bike. Went over to the inspection building. Got the stickers I need for my particular group after they did the inspection. Checked out my throttle response, my brake and clutch lever responses, and also let me know I need to tape up my lights and my mirrors, which probably wouldn't be necessary because I can turn them down. And so I'm dog tired right now, you guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and set up this canopy and call it a night. I even forgot to film that whole thing, but here it is set up, looking beautiful. Under the lights, you can see the tower there in the background, and I'm ready to go home and go to sleep. Back again at old dark 30 in the morning. It's probably somewhere around 7:30, 7:45, and these guys are having their safety briefing. That's the advanced class. They get to go out first, so they just had their safety briefing. Now I am upstairs where we have our safety briefing in this huge room. separated into 3 parts, and they generally separate us up into novice, intermediate, and I think it's advanced or something like that. But you also have access to the track, so you can actually go out here on the track, and the guys downstairs, they start running right at 8 o'clock. A couple of our instructors are watching people come out of the pits, and some of the guys are now coming around from their first lap. I'll just let you go ahead and enjoy these sounds. Now we're back in the garage where some of these guys are. Of course, all of these bikes are leader bikes, a lot of Ducatis, a few BMWs, but a lot of Ducatis. That means these guys spent and invested a lot of money in their machines, in maintaining them, in keeping them up. And they grabbed a garage spot. It's cooler in there. You can bring your friend to cool down your bike. They got restrooms, which we didn't have out there. We have to walk over to the restrooms. And it's a pretty cool area. I actually ended up renting the garage out for my next track day. We'll get into that story here. But you also have access to some of the guys who put on tires, because their campers are right behind me, as well as some mechanics if you can catch them, and mainly they work on Ducatis. And this guy who helps with your suspension, who also helped me with my bike.
All right, so I was pretty tired from the night before. And I apologize that I didn't get to film all of what I'm about to describe to you, but this is essentially what happened. We go up, meet with the instructors, they tell us our schedule for the day. We get out on the track for the first session. We only get to do 1 lap because somebody was having some issues on the track, so we had to pit. We go back for the next session and we do 2 laps, but on the second lap, something hit a gentleman's oil pan and that oil got everywhere, so we had to pit again. They were able to clean up the track pretty quickly, and we go out on the 4th one. And this time, as we're going around, we get to that back straightaway, somebody passes me up as I'm turning left, and I decide to downshift so I can try and catch them. When I do that, I lose all power. All my power's gone. No problem, okay? Get towed back to my van. Speak to the guy who you saw helps with the suspension. He was able to narrow it down to the relay fuse popping. Couldn't figure out why it was popping, so I had to pack up everything on day 1 and go back to the house. I was able to get my day 2 refunded, which was cool, but I was a little disappointed that I couldn't get everything out of day 1 and day 2 because I had essentially left at lunchtime. So once we get everything back to his house, we are unable to figure out what's going on. I'll let him describe that a little bit here.
Trying to pinpoint exactly what is causing the pop. Initially, we thought it might have been some of the work that we did up here with the lights, but even after unplugging all the lights, it was still consistently popping. So typically in this situation, when we do have a fuse popping like that, what I like to do is I do the process of elimination of unplugging everything first. So literally, I'll find a connector, unplug it, put a new fuse in, see if it pops, and just continue doing that until the popping stops. In this case, the popping did not stop. The pop. Pretty much every single connector on this bike that I could get my hands on had been disconnected except for the ignition one right up here, because I need that one to, of course, actually generate the power. Which actually lies into an interesting thing. This could be something going on with here. So we might have to look into that. But anyway, so after everything was taken apart, all that still popping, what was strange is all of a sudden it magically stopped popping the fuse, and we would start to put things in, connect things back together to see if that would cause any popping or anything like that. Nothing was happening. So anyways, I was doing that. We get down over to the regulator, And what seemed to be happening with this regulator, when I had the bike fired up, every once in a while when you would give it a good hard rev and kind of let it build some RPMs, magic, poof, pop, perfect. Put another one in, turn the key on, she'd fire up, she'd hum. Interesting, let's try it again. Once again, give it a good amount of throttle, RPMs go up, pop again. So I was like, okay, that's interesting, cool, pop new one. Undid the regulator, and then I was able to do the same thing. No pop, no pop, no pop. Awesome. Has to be an issue with the regulator not grounding, not taking that excess AC voltage and not, converting it and not grounding it properly to the frame. So of course I checked the grounds and stuff like that, make sure that they're good. Luckily the grounds are located right next to it on here. So I just take that apart, make sure they're clean, make sure there's nothing wild, crazy going on with that. Look very normal, look like how you'd expect. So yeah, we got a new one, replaced it. She fired up, everything seemed happy, gave her a couple really good whomps, let that RPMs build up. Like I said, everything seemed great. I go down, we're on Tree Nut, over to, De La Soul. Shoot down there to about the second turnaround. Everything seems to be going good. Shoot back the other direction. Everything seems to be going good. There's a stop sign and a T right up there. Waiting out there. Take the left hand. Shoot down there. I'm thinking, all right, cool. We're going to call Jeff P. We're going to get this thing out of here. He's going to be happy as can be. And then, of course, right as those thoughts go through my head, I look down and I've lost power and the fuse popped. So then I get to walk my happy ass with the bike all the way back here. We're kind of talking about the lithium battery in here. I personally don't have huge experience with them. I know that they're not new, and I know that they're not new to the motorcycle world, but they're slightly new to me, as in the fact of them, of me not having just a lot of experience with them. The AGM batteries all day, all night, easy. I'm not 100% sure how to test these. I'm not 100% sure how the length of life that they're supposed to have. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research, see if there's any specialty tools or any special way of checking the lifespans. I'm wondering if maybe at the battery end there might be an issue of it overcharging and bloated fluids. Even just having this conversation, I'm kind of looking at the ignition itself too. Thinking that maybe there might be something funky, but I don't really know what could be funky going on there because it's essentially a switch. It's just on or it's off.
And when I came through to get the bike, we thought it was ready the first time. I tell you, I probably got about as far as that Mercedes-Benz, maybe just another car length by it, and the relay fuse popped on me as well. So yeah. I can't understand how frustrating it is. It's keeping me down not having her around. I mean, the weather hasn't really been all that lately, but I've been wanting to ride, and it's okay. We're gonna get her back to where I can get back on her again. That's all we're looking forward to doing. By this time, we've had a few hiccups. We can't figure out exactly why the relay fuse is popping. He's had me order a couple of parts that he thinks might help with the situation. It doesn't. One of the parts I actually put on 2 years prior. I didn't think it was that, but it was an inexpensive part, so I went ahead and changed it anyway. I actually ordered a wiring harness, and I did that twice from eBay, and each time they sent me the wrong part. One of those wiring harnesses I actually had saved for almost a year, maybe a little bit more, because I really wanted to rewire the bike to kind of get it fresh and new, just in case I sell it or, happen to do a giveaway, hey, maybe here on this channel, then that's one less thing for us to worry about. But again, both times, they sent me the wrong part. Now, because he had my bike for so long and he was not prioritizing it, I went and picked up my bike. I had already paid for his services, but he kept telling me he had to push it back because he had other bikes coming in, which didn't make much sense to me. So I went and picked up the bike. Of course, I looked at trying to install these wiring harnesses. That didn't work. And I was just, really frustrated. So I just did what I normally do. I just started cleaning. I cleaned up the bike, did some steam cleaning to some of the places that hadn't been cleaned before, wiped everything down, and I just sat there for a minute and stared at my bike. just trying to figure out what's going on. I decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put in a new fuse. I'm gonna see if it happens. Put it in, I turn the key, no pop. Great, over the next 5 to 10 minutes, I did that multiple times, no pop. So now I'm thinking, okay, let's start it. Let's see what happens. I go to start it and it's wanting to start, but it doesn't start. I figure out that my power commander isn't grounded, so I ground it and it starts, no problem. Again, I do that multiple times over the next 5 to 10 minutes. Everything's good. Get back on the bike, put everything back together. I clean it some more, just being patient. Of course, throughout this time, I'm testing to see what's going on, and it's not occurring again. So I was able to put everything back on the bike, take it out for a ride, hit it a couple times, nothing's happening. Just couldn't figure out what's happening. Here recently, I got new fairings, so I put new fairings on, made sure everything was looking right. Of course, I cleaned the bike again, and I've been riding it here for the last couple of weeks, and I haven't had the issue. At one point, while I was actually working on my bike, or actually washing my bike, I noticed that when you do wash it, some water will go in under the seat. There really isn't anything protecting those plugs and wires down there. And I think that it probably at some point got waterlogged, and that's what ended up happening. Water got in, it caused the short, and after some time that water dried up and now everything's okay. I honestly think that's what happened. So I was a little disappointed by that, but we scheduled another track day, which is coming up this weekend, just a few days, and hopefully we'll get to ride on this track, and I will absolutely do everything I can to film every minute of what's going on so you know exactly what to expect on your first and second track day. And if I'm able to, I'll try and mount my camera somewhere to the bike because they won't let me do it on the helmet, so you can see some of the things I'm going through, some of the things I have to work on, body positioning, braking, things like that, and you'll know exactly what it is you need to do. But stick with me, we're gonna try to get this going. Thanks for joining the channel. And if you haven't joined yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you back with Unc at the Track. Peace.